Hey guys, for this video I wanted to show a little bit about the process of transcribing NES games. So on my screen here I put both Sibelius, which I use for notation, and Famitracker, which I use for reading the NES files. I picked pretty much at random the first level of the game Ninja Gaiden for the NES, or Ninja Gaiden, however you want to say it. Now, usually I do this on two screens, so I have a little more room to work, but for the purpose of this video, it's on one. Famitracker accepts NSF files. NSF files are Nintendo sound format, or Nintendo sound file, pretty sure it's Nintendo sound format. And it can read the individual channels. If you know a little bit about the sound card or the sound chip from the NES, it has 5 channels. The first 2 are pulse waves. This is kind of wrong when they call them square. Square is a specific kind of pulse wave with a 50% duty cycle. There's a triangle channel, a noise channel, and a DPCM. That's differential pulse code modulation. If I just play a little bit of this. Gets me a little dizzy. Jump ahead. Cool tune. All right, so I'll show you how they each work. It works kind of like a digital audio workstation, but it's vertical instead of horizontal for some reason. So here's channel 1. Channel 2. Triangle, which is the bass. Here's a noise. Oops, sorry, slow down. So this 5th channel here is a sample. It plays samples, low quality samples. Here you hear it's a kick drum and a snare drum. And then the noise almost sounds like a hi-hat. It's just white noise. You can see they're using musical pitches, but they're not literally that pitch. That's just triggering different colors of the white noise. So I'm going to start transcribing this one, and I will show you a little bit, about how I do this. Usually I start with the bass line. Oh yeah, by the way, I got the number 8 just means the number of the sound file. They're not always in order. I get the titles from Zophar's domain most of the time. And then the tempo I got from TuneBat. I just brought the MP3 in there and it calculates it for me. So I will start usually with the triangle channel on the bass. So boom, boom. Now this is a really syncopated one. I love Sibelius because of its because the R button, whatever phrase you write, you just hit R and it repeats it. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I worry about the, I'm marking the most staccato for now, being kind of picky. This little line here means a note is chopped short. So that's technically a staccato. Does it start in beat 1? I don't know. Nope, see, that's actually early. So I do this for a little bit, just trying to guess the rhythm. This is kind of hard to hear without context, which is kind of interesting. So usually I go back and forth the triangle. Let's hear what is a noise doing the same rhythm. Oop, I hate when it slows down. It's something with the sample rate differences, I think. So it's just the gallop. So when I first start using the noise channel, I usually just write this one sounds like a hi-hat, so I'm just going to put it in the middle line. But once I start getting more noise channel sounds, I start moving them around and labeling which one is what. I'm taking a little guess here that I think this whole track is just this sound. So I'm just going to put a little mark here that this is D to E, so the D triggers it and the E cut. No, the D is the first one and the E is the next 2, which is interesting. Let's put it at half speed. Here, if we can hear, see if we can hear a difference. Here, if we can hear a difference. Yeah, slightly different. All right, so this one's D and this one's E. If I really want to be picky, I could put them on 2 different things, but instead I'm going to just put an accent mark here because I think that helps communicate what's happening. Now, how many bars is that? Oh, let's go back to normal speed. Okay, so there's quite a few bars here. I'll count them later. And let's figure out what's going on here. Okay, so we have a kick drum here. So for right now, I'm going to predict that this whole track is just kick and snare. At the end of the day, at the end of the process, I may combine these two staves and just mark it like this like a drum set, but sometimes that's not exactly appropriate. So sometimes if I don't know the rhythm offhand, if I can't get it right by ear the first time, I will actually count the process. I would count how many frames there are here. So if we're starting here on this B2, see where my mouse is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then this was a little bit later. So you can kind of guess how long how long everything is here. For the other ones, I'll clean up the rhythm later, but oops, turn that off. So here we can see V00. You might have seen my markings on my scores before. That's the pulse width. The actual octave it's in is sometimes off by 1. Boom. Yeah, that's B2. This says B1. It's just the way that the sound card works. I'm also thinking we're in B minor. D major, it doesn't matter. So this one's interesting because it's actually switching. I have to do this thing for the clef. I mean, I could do this. I could just make it all in treble clef, but that's really hard to read. So I would rather actually see this like a. And then there's D2, which is actually going to be D3. Wow, this is going to be pretty rough. Okay, so I'm checking in here. I realized I had the accent pattern backwards here, and some of these rhythms weren't quite right, so I cleaned that up a little bit. Didn't even start most of the melody. I'm just getting this idea here. It looks like the drums are repeating for the most part. I'll put in the fills later. I think there might be some variations, but I did this little fill here. Now, this part is really tricky with the syncopation, but if you listen to, you're just gonna take a guess sometimes on what the kick drum, what the drum pattern is. Usually there's like a typical kind of rock beat when there's the snares on 2. So this, I'm listening at half speed. Okay, now I identified where the loop ends. It seems like this B section is really short, only 4 bars. But once I get the bass and the hi-hat, because that's the simplest part of this piece, I made a couple markers of where the drum pattern here changes. Maybe I'll do that. I also decided to just write sempre staccato, because it makes more sense here. Now I'm going to go through and do the kick and snare, and for the rest of it, this pattern is a little bit weird. I got to figure out what's going on here, but then it's very syncopated. And then I do that rhythm section, if you will, and then I add the melody. All right, so this part is pretty tricky. So I don't like the way this looks. I got the notes in, but I hate the ledger lines. So I'm just gonna do a quick filter between A sharp 2 and B3. I should have been A2, it's okay, put those here. And bring them to the lower staff. And then make this treble clef up here. And then get rid of these extraneous rests. I don't know if a newer version of Sibelius fixes this, but I'm on an old one. It's okay. That looks so much better. I don't want to use tenor clef, sorry. So I think this is the best way to do it.
2 hours later.
Okay, so this product is pretty much done. If you can see, pulse 1 and 2 were basically the same thing. The pitches were all the same. I used Famitracker to see that. You can see it's 1 frame behind. The timbre was a little different. So that one's a little more staccato, and this one is more legato. So I just put a little marker there in English to help just avoid redundancy. Score. And then I put this one on the dual staff like I did earlier, and I'm just going to do a quick check. I'm just going to check it over real quick. But I think this is basically it. And then what I do next to make the final product is I print it out of Sibelius in terms of I use the video export. So this one that exports the video automatically for us. I don't like the playback line. I think it's distracting. So I do it in HD. Then I bring it into Premiere, sync it with the MP3 from the game, and then the game from Zophar's domain. And then I get the font for the game, a little picture to make it look a little bit aesthetically pleasing for YouTube purposes. Thanks for watching my video.